This is Rugby Merlin and welcome back to the channel. Jordi Barrett has signed for Leinster. It's been huge news this week and I just had to cover it. But there's so many angles to think about this signing, good and bad. Part of the reason why it was so kind of surprising is that most of the New Zealand players who usually take a sabbatical and then come back to the New Zealand fold, they usually choose to go to the high-paying leagues of like Japan and sometimes France, you know, because if they're playing out of New Zealand, they don't qualify for the All Blacks. So Jordi Barrett is unusual in that he's chosen to go to Europe and play. Usually New Zealanders in particular go there at the end of their career, but Jordi Barrett is absolutely in his prime. So it's really interesting just on that point alone. So he's on a 6-month contract from December running into the summer, and that will be like the prime part of the season for Leinster in terms of like they're definitely going to qualify for next year's Champions Cup. So yeah, that's where he could do the most damage, or you know, he could be the most valuable for Leinster. And no doubt I put a Euro sign on the thumbnail, so I had no doubt he's on a decent wage, and you know, fair play to him. And one thing I don't want to do in this video is to like cast any aspersions or anything on the players themselves or the player himself. You know, he's done quite a brave thing in terms of coming and signing for Leinster rather than taking the easy option and going to Japan, where the money is just as good, if not better. And he seems like he wants a challenge. He wants a little bit of experience, you know, playing in this European competition, which now is opened up as well to the South African team. So, you know, fair play to the player. And so obviously he's like a rugby man through and through. He had some history with Leinster. Actually, he lived there when he was a child, and yeah, I think he wants to experience the European rugby atmosphere, you know, and I can't fault him for that at all, you know. So nothing to do with him at all. He's made a great decision, a very interesting decision, and it'll be very noteworthy to keep tabs now on the other kind of international players from down south to see whether they will follow suit, and you know, maybe we could get a few more players up into the Northern Hemisphere. So Jordi Barrett is coming to Leinster, and that's going to generate a huge amount of interest in Leinster rugby, and also in Irish rugby and European rugby in general. As I said, you know, it could lead to other things in the future. But there are also other issues around this signing that you know, made me kind of delve deeper into a little bit of the structure of the Irish system. And I think that's what I've heard a lot of regarding this signing is kind of some positive comments in terms of like raising the profile of rugby, particularly Irish rugby, with him signing for Leinster, but also some negative comments in terms of the structure of Irish rugby. And you have to understand, like, a lot of us don't get to hear about that. It's the same as Welsh rugby, you know. There's a lot of stuff that people don't know about Welsh rugby, and the way the regions were formed and things like that. And it gets a little bit tedious to like trying to explain it to other nations. But I've really appreciated this opportunity to actually get into the kind of nitty-gritty of how the Irish rugby union structures their system. So first and foremost, you have to say that there is no salary cap at Leinster, and probably the other regions too in Ireland. Of course, England, the Saracens being the most notable example. They were, you know, they were kind of chastised for exceeding the salary cap. I think that's the reason why they were kind of punished so severely. But in Ireland doesn't seem to be the case. So they have the free reign now to bring in whoever they want, and it's quite an exciting thing. It's like the Real Madrid, really, of Europe. They can basically buy whoever they want, and that's a interesting position to be in. I think Leo Callan said we have all of these international Irish players, so if we're going to bring anyone in, they have to be better than those guys. So they're going to bring in Barrett. He's a world-class player, without doubt. You know, he's a very, very good player. So do you think he's better than the boys he's already got there, the Irish boys in the centre? So of course, one of the co-captains is there in the centre. Also a legend of Irish rugby, Henshaw, and O'Brien as well, is a very good player. So yeah, it's interesting. The thing about Barrett is that he can actually play multiple positions, so he's going to be valuable in that respect. But also, you know, that offers up other challenges in terms of the size of the Leinster squad. You've got to say that Leinster have earned their kind of financial well-being at the moment. Huge crowd for the quarterfinal, no doubt. In Croke Park, it will be the same next week. Not next week, but the next match. For Northampton, and you know, they're riding high on the crest of a wave. They're one of the most successful teams in Europe, I think, second only to Toulouse. 4 finals that they've won, and 3 finals that they've been in that they haven't won. So, you know, incredible success for that province, and I think you know, you can't begrudge a team or a province like that flexing their muscles a little bit, and they've certainly done that with this signing. But you have to say that some of the opponents of this signing do have pretty pertinent points. I mean, one of the things that stood out to me is the central contracting system, and I think, you know, fans of Leinster will probably already know this argument, but there are a lot of players. Perhaps the majority of the Irish team is made up of Leinster players. They have an absolutely fantastic academy, and they're constantly bringing through great players. McCarthy's, Big Joe is a perfect example of that. But there are countless others. And when they bring in big players like this, it's a possibility that they're going to deprive some of those youngsters of getting first team opportunities. Now, anyone who's played rugby knows that when you go up to the first team, it's a monumental event. And I've never played international rugby, but I imagine, like, when you go into international rugby as well, that step up is such a great experience, and the more games you get under your belt, the better you feel about playing in that kind of at that level. So if Jordi Barrett is coming in, like, they're not going to drop him because of the money they paid for him. So and he's probably going to earn his place anyway. So is that going to deprive players who possibly could get an opportunity, injuries, subs, you know, when they need subs or something, or need to bring in something new for the squad? Is that going to deprive players of their opportunity? Possibly so, but is it worth that? For Leinster, yes. For the other provinces, that's where it comes to be really interesting, because of course Leinster streaks ahead of the other guys at the moment. Munster probably being the closest, but another controversial thing is that RG Snyman is going from Munster to Leinster, it looks like, by all accounts. So, like, they taking one of Munster's most kind of high profile players and bringing him up. They've already got a fantastic pack, and Leinster have really done well this year in the Champions Cup, mainly because of their pack. And it's that thing, is it an overindulgence, or is it just what they deserve, kind of thing? So I think the Leinster fans will be really happy with it, but as far as the other provinces in Ireland, I think they can feel a little bit hard done by, because when you come into the central contract system, and those are the players who are directly paid by the Irish Rugby Union, and the clubs don't or the provinces don't actually have to pay the salary, because they can take them out of the provinces anytime they want and take them for Irish duty or whatever, training camps, etc. And Leinster have like such a huge majority of players, like 10 or something like that, and it goes up and down, you know, when players retire, etc. But it's around 10 at the moment, and I think the other provinces have like 1 or like 3. I think it was 3. So yeah, that's a big discrepancy, and I heard a lot of Irish pundits say that there's kind of a bit of a bad feeling about Leinster, because it's like, you know, that province is like includes Dublin, which is you know, the most populous part of of Ireland, and there's a bit of a bad feeling towards the team. I don't know. I don't live in Ireland, but that's why I've heard. Like, let me know, because there's such interesting comparisons with the Welsh rugby. There was a lot of this when the Irish, when the Welsh regions were formed. I think the provinces in Ireland work a lot better than the regions in Wales, because Wales is a much smaller country geographically, and there was a lot of arguments and things like that about combining teams, which were like arch enemies, you know. So Leinster would argue that we provide like the bulk of the Irish team, so we should be compensated accordingly, and you can't really argue with that. I mean, you know, that's like a perfectly rational argument. But one of the things I think about when I think about Barrett signing is that rationale or logic doesn't always matter the most. When you're thinking about Irish rugby at a whole, like Connacht, Ulster, Munster, they're not doing well, you know, and Leinster absolutely like riding high on the crest of a wave, dominating, you know what I mean, in Europe, and it's got to be a bit disheartening for not just the teams, but like the youngsters growing up in those regions. So what is the solution? How do you solve this problem? And it's a hard problem to solve. In Leinster's defence, they have been providing quite a few players who haven't been on the central contract for quite a while. Like I think only Gibson Park are on it recently. Doris Sheehan this week, I think, also, and James Lowe as well. Is he on it yet? I don't think so. But those guys have played an incredible amount of tests for Ireland, so it's a very selective process, and you really have to prove yourself to be like top notch to get on it. But yeah, it doesn't take away from the fact that Leinster have the majority of them. One of the things that I'm a big believer in, and I've said this like since the rugby kind of changed and became professional, is that you have to give youngsters a chance to play at the highest level they're able to play. You've seen that Leinster have such strength and depth in their squad that a lot of the time the young players or players on the periphery of the squad, they don't get the opportunity to actually play on match day. So whatever it takes in order to get those players some experience, because that's going to benefit everybody. You know, I can't see that they'll be shipped out to different provinces in Ireland, but maybe different leagues in Europe. Of course, this is a controversial subject, but I'm thinking about like the overall health of Irish rugby. You have such good players coming through with the under-20s and things like that. So there must be an opportunity there to get those players some experience and there's nothing better than it. Even if they were to play in lower leagues or something and not in the main team, so there was no chance of them playing against like their home club or something like that. But to give them like 6 months a year in the D2 in France, or something like that, just to get them, earn them that experience, that match time, because that's going to benefit everybody. So yeah, that's a thought. I'm not sure what you guys think about this. I know it's a very controversial subject, but I really felt like it needed talking about, because this Barrett signing has really thrown the cat amongst the pigeons a little bit. Plus Leinster's success in the quarterfinal. It's all combined and snowballed a little bit. But let me know what you think. I'm genuinely interested, because as I say, I'm a little bit outside of the bubble of Irish rugby. So yeah, any comments will be appreciated. If you've made it this far, thank you very much, and check out the next video. All right, cheers, bye-bye.